Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. Here we are, the middle of June already, June 14th, and we are full moon, by the way. How many of you guys are having some full moon experiences? Gotta love that energy. So, hey, thank you for joining tonight. And I am super excited because we have a special guest tonight. Beth Mincer is joining me tonight. You guys might have seen her before. We kind of co-hosted one out of Colorado one day, but she's helping in the background. Hi, Beth. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Right on. Thank you for being here. I so much appreciate that. And tonight we have Taylor, I believe, is in the background. Taylor, jump in that chat and say hello to everybody. And well, here's what we're going to do. If you guys are brand new to Tech Tip Tuesday, well, this is a chat-based forum in which you guys will put your questions in the chat and we will bring them live onto the call and then facilitate an answer. So I will take all of my knowledge, experience as much as I possibly can. And then I'm sure going to be feeding off of Beth to help me out to find out solutions. We also have a live customer service agent in the background. That's Taylor, that is going to be helping us out in answering and giving as much insight as possible. So thank you very much for that. What we can't do, let me give it a little housekeeping, because what we can't do is we can't treat, diagnose, or prevent any kind of diseases. We won't be able to tell you what programs are for what condition, right? I can sure tell you how they work, but we're not going to be talking about how they will introduce alignment or anything within the body. That's not what we're here for. That's things that you guys are probably researching on your own, as well as what Healy provides as a corporate structure. So, but again, like I say, what we can do is we put the questions in the chat and we will unpack them to the best of our ability and solve the mysteries. How's that sound? Does that sound fun? Yay. And I know there's been a couple things lately that have been kind of helping give us some challenges. And so if you guys are experiencing those things, we'll unpack that as well. So without any further ado, let's get this party started. How about that? Do we have a question out there, Beth?
We do. We have one to kick it off from Linda. And she said her blue app is sometimes working, but frequently stops and reverts back to a solid blue screen.
Yikes, right? That's fun. I hear you. And there has been some of that reported, actually quite a bit of that reported. And there is, and we've talked about this. We actually talked about this last week as well, because the things that are causing that is actually part of the revision of the next version launch. Okay. So right now they're still developing the next version launch. So that is addressing these things. And you know, what's helping refine that, or what's helped refine that, is you guys putting in customer service tickets. So first, Linda, make sure that you've put in a customer service ticket, giving as much detail around the causation of that blue screen, but also, you know, if you've got screenshots, right? Screenshots is always super helpful, but there has been some things around that, and the looping around just that blue screen in the analysis. There hasn't been a permanent fix yet. It's still in the works. Some things you can get around that, ways to get around that is, I want you guys to remember that once you load the apps on your phone and you integrate it with your account, okay, whether it be blue dot or pink dot, all of that synchronization part then puts the content of the operation of that app into the app. In other words, it comes from your cloud. All the ability to function with that app goes into the app. At that point, you do not need internet connection at all. You don't need Wi-Fi. You don't even need cellular data. You just need a Bluetooth being turned on, so that the Bluetooth communications between the Healy hardware and the phone, the smartphone, can happen and interface. So you don't need internet. So one thing you can do as a workaround, just in case that the app is trying to do some work in the background via the data link, because the app actually tries to connect via data So you can go in and on your phone, you can turn the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi off. So you can just test this idea. On your smart device, turn Wi-Fi off, right? And then utilize the blue dot analysis, okay? And just see if that workaround helps you out. Otherwise, the only way to, again, if it's something that works sometimes and then it doesn't, you've got to actually hard close the app and then open it back up and reestablish connection. So, so that's the one workaround that we have right now. There is a revision coming, so we'll see some solutions, I'm sure, soon. What else we got? Let's see.
Yep, pink app acting up as well. Probably similar things, delete and reinstall. Yeah, like you said, Ken, we have like the PAH, I call it the phone, the app, the Healy, the standard checks for the workarounds, you know, like we say on each call, your phone's up to date, has enough memory, turn it off and on, do the same things with the apps, do a delete, uninstall, reinstall if you need to, and hard reset the Healy.
Yeah, remember too, as best when anytime you uninstall an app and then reinstall it, turn the smart device off, completely power it down, and then power it back up. That's going to promote the fragmentation. That's what happens when you delete something on any device, whether it's your computer or your smart device. There's a potential for fragmentation of the memory and the utilization that how the CPU uses or assigns functionality to the touch screen, to the Bluetooth, to the Wi-Fi link, all that's integrated into the app, right? And there's certain things that are set, quote unquote, set. When you delete the app, some of those things remain set, and you need to turn the smart device off to reset, and then turn it back on. And then that reallocates those resources and I should say the alignment of those resources to the app. The app actually does it, goes out and relinks to different resources that it needs, but it can have some fragmented links that has caused you the malfunction in the first place. And so if you don't delete the app, shut the reload the app and then shut the smart device off and back on, some of those fragmented connections reestablish. And so you're going, well, I deleted the app and reinstalled it and it's still doing the same thing. That's probably because you didn't turn the smart device off and then allow that reallocation. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So Linda says that I have had a ticket in for several weeks with PICs. Okay. Taylor, is there a way you can send that to on the screen? There is our Healy tech support person. You can private message your ticket number and see if that can, if they can look that up for you. Can you do that? You see Healy tech support in our group here. That's our awesome CS person. Thanks, Taylor. All right. So Zoom wasn't working on my PC. So Izzy, I love what you just said right there. Sorry, I'm late. No worries. I mean, whatever you need to present will be here when you present it. So thank you for getting here. But the Zoom link wasn't working. And so this is some of the things that happen on, you have a link that then we copy and paste or we click on it directly. I prefer that you click on it directly from where it's posted, because then there's less likelihood of any corruption. The more times that we copy and paste something, the more potential for a corruption in that content. Yeah, it's a digital file, but again, depending on your computer and some of the memory allocations, it could be corrupted. So that's just the most important thing. Okay, so what else we got?
Kudos from Denise, because she said everything you're saying right now is what she experienced this week, and it worked. She did everything. Healy Tech Support sent steps to take, and it worked like a charm. So yay, we love the success stories, right? That
stuff right there charges me up, because I mean, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar or work in the medical institution or medical, healing systems, or even most of the healing systems. People are coming in all the time, right? And they are in need of repair. I guess no different than the automotive industry, but you're always working with something broken, right? And it's super good for those industries to get a feedback on something fixed, or even coming in to say, I just got to do a checkup on how joyful I am. How many of you have ever done that kind of checkup? Go to see a practitioner. I just want you to check up on how joyful I am. I don't want to talk about sickness, just joyful. I mean, that sounds fun to me. All right.
Linda asks, at what point do you turn off the smart device? And a lot of these things, again, everybody seems kind of repetitive, and like sometimes keep in mind too, it's your mindset and intention a little bit, add that to it. If we look at everything going, oh, this is such a drag, it's supposed to work, why isn't it? Try to take a deep breath there and reset yourself too. So it's, you're turning on and off your software in your brain as well, right? But Linda asked, what point do we turn off the smart device to kind of reset that?
So, okay. So depending on the reason that we're doing the reset. So let's say, again, back to the beginning, we have had some fault or issue with the app. Okay. We've tried it a couple of times. We've shut the app. Now, when I say shut the app, we've hard closed the app. I want everybody to understand what that term hard close means on a smart device. It doesn't mean you just swiped it out of the way. That's not hard closing. It doesn't mean you hit the home button or hit the menu button and went somewhere else and just went back to the home screen. No, that doesn't mean that. Hard close means that you're actually shutting the program down, and there's different ways to do it based on your platform. So if it's an Android based, or if it's iOS or iPhone based, Apple based, and you can go to YouTube to find out, how do I hard close an app? And if you don't know how to do that, I promise you, I guarantee you've got a whole bunch of apps running in the background because you've never shut them down, right? And so this consumes valuable resources for the CPU to function with your Healy. Like I've mentioned many times, the Healy is a resource hungry application, a program. And it needs freedom. It needs space to operate. So if you've deleted an app and reinstalled an app, that's the moment in which you hard close your smart device. Okay, before you start the Healy, before you start the app, delete it, reinstall it, and then hard close your smart device. But let me put one more step in there prior to this. So delete it, reinstall it, and then hard close all the apps that are running in the background. Okay. To increase and improve connectivity, also turn off the Bluetooth on that smart device. At that point, okay, turn off the Bluetooth. You can manually do that in your settings. Again, if you don't know how to do these things, there's a YouTube for that. I promise. Go to YouTube and search for it. Then turn your smart device off. All right. It naturally goes through this power down process. So you don't really have to do any counting to how long do I have it turned off or any of that kind of stuff. It automatically does that anyway. So it's going to power down and then go ahead and power it back up. And when you power it back up, it automatically goes through a process and it takes a certain amount of time. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Some devices, some things out there, you have to actually shut them down for 60 seconds, but not your smart device. It automatically does it. So now you've turned it off and back on. Okay. Next step, turn the Bluetooth back on. Go back to your settings, turn Bluetooth back on. Okay. Next step, turn the Healy on. This is very important. Never open the app before turning on the Healy. I'll repeat that. And I want you guys to repeat it with me. Never open the app before turning on the Healy. Okay. So first thing is you turn the Healy on, then you open the app, whether Bluetooth or blue dot or pink dot, doesn't matter, either one. Okay. You open the app and then establish connection. I'm sure that you'll have much more success. Okay. So that's the time in which you would turn your smart device off. If the question has anything to do with, for instance, you've started a program with your pink dot, you've sent the program to the Healy, the green light is flashing and the Bluetooth light is flashing and it's running, and you want to not have your smart device on, you can do that. You can actually turn the smart device off, completely off, and the Healy will still be running the program through its entire timed process. So you don't have to have the smart device on. It will continue to run. You won't be able to monitor the progress because obviously the program's off, the smart device is off. You won't be able to connect or change any of the intensity settings. Obviously, the smart device is off. That's why. But your smart device is off if that's a concern for you. All right. So just know that the Healy will continue running. Not the same rule when it comes to the blue dot. The blue dot must have the smart device on in real time in order to interface with the app in real time in order for the functionality of the program. Okay. Sorry. That's just what has to happen right now. It's real-time interface between the information field, the Healy hardware, and you, or AKA the client, right? It's real-time interface. It can't be synthesized. Okay. Hopefully that helps you out there, Linda, in when to turn the smart device off. All right. What else? Thanks, Taylor.
I'm wondering about notifications. If you are turning on and off the pink dot, the notifications are coming on every time she's opening that app. And notifications are in the settings of that pink dot.
Right.
What to do?
So Izzy, when you're again, when you establish connection with your app and your Healy hardware by scanning this QR code on the back or manually putting in the serial number, you're now establishing connection between that hardware. Then it's going to, of course, implement the proper assets for that hardware, AKA program pages. So now that you've connected, you have the opportunity to go into settings, and at the very top, the first two lines are the notification part. One is sound, and one is just the notifications, which is going to be content that comes across your screen, and you can turn those off. So that's by clicking them, it's a toggle. So in other words, you tap it once. If it says turn notifications off and you tap it, that means the opposite will be true, and they'll actually be turned off, but the notification will say turn notifications on. So just know that what you tap is the command, and the opposite will then toggle on. It'll show you that so you can make that choice next time. So those will be, then they'll be off. Now, if you get out of the app, hard close the app, and the Healy turns off, and you lose any kind of connection with the Healy, those notifications, the default is for them to be on. So it can reset the default back to them notifications being on. You have to go in, and I know it happens all the time. I mean, with me, sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on if the Bluetooth light, let's say that you're finished with your program and the green light stops flashing, but the Bluetooth light stays on, and it'll stay on for a long period of time. As long as you haven't closed the app on your smart device, hasn't lost Bluetooth connection for any reason, it stays connected. It stays connected. And then when you go back to run another program, you won't have to do any settings changes. It'll automatically retain all of the last settings as far as notifications off. So yeah, I just get in the habit whenever I link up to the Healy, go to my settings before I start a program and check that out. Okay.
Perhaps too, sometimes when your device does something or resets or updates in the main settings on the iPad or the iPhone, sometimes it reverts back to where a notification would be clicked on. So you could always check the main source in the iPad or the iPhone to see if something went back to that original. You know, each app in your phone, you have an option of receiving notifications or not. So perhaps that got reestablished too.
Yeah, and if you go to your smart device and you go to every app you have on your smart device, you can adjust notifications, right? If there's some kind of a notification assigned to that software, then you can go in the settings, you can turn it off. And so if you do turn it off, know that that setting is permanently attached to the smart device. So then if you do want settings, even if you turn that on or off on the app itself, on the Healy app, you still won't get notifications because it's off on the smart device. So the smart device overrides what the Healy does. So just understand that that sequence is going to be negated if you want that to be on. I know I've turned my Healy on and run it and thinking the notifications are off. And then that little cool song comes on at the end of the program. Like, wait, I thought I had it turned off, but you can tell, you know, the way to tell if they're turned on or not is just simply go to your home screen. And in 8 seconds, I promise you, you're going to get a notification up on the screen from the Healy telling you what's on there. And how many of you guys actually look at what that notification bar says? All of the content that is from the app is summarized in that one little tiny bar. Like, are you getting connection or not? You know, via white indication or black indication. In other words, conductivity to the body. Yes or no, white or black, right? What frequency is being transmitted? What progress is being achieved at the time, and the time elapsed. So it's not all the content. It's kind of cool, but it does come up every 10 seconds. So, all right. Are we caught up already, Beth? I love this.
We are caught up. Linda said, thank you so much. It does help. I agree with Linda. She said it helps to have the advice printed out as a list to follow. But we do have a ton of resources, right? Maybe we recap the resources real quick. We all learn in different ways. It helps to have a list sometimes. It helps to watch videos, but we've got all kinds of that. And maybe some new people that are new haven't, been exposed to a lot of that, but we have the Academy, we have the Vimeo channel, the Healy YouTube, so many resources on that. And the good thing is that it is all time stamped. And you can look up, and search even within our YouTube page about different topics, and hopefully, get your visual printout list there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there is, by the way, on your shop page, you log into your shop page, and on there's an FAQ. There's a line item. It's right under support, the support tab. Go under there. There's an FAQ tab. Again, what you're asking for, everything from like things around the battery, things around connection, things around, there's a lot of stuff on there. FAQs, good stuff. And here's my suggestion is that you go into those and go to Healy School every day. I know. It's like, wait a minute, I got that job. I got cook dinner. I got to answer all my emails. Yeah, I know, I get it. But to empower yourself means knowledge. And the more knowledge we have, the better we feel empowered. We don't surrender our power. We don't give our power away. But of course, I'm always going to be here, right? We're going to be here on Tuesdays, just to help you feel empowered. Go to those tools and just take a peek. They're pretty useful. And by the way, the YouTube page, we have the YouTube page called Healy World Americas. That's the YouTube page. It's the channel. And there are four channels on that page, I believe. One is Tech Tip Tuesday. One is What's Up Wednesday. One is there's just some things that tech support has created, which is awesome, by the way, little videos. And I think there's also, I believe, a few of the Friday Frequency with Friends. So awesome. Oh, and I forget, Healy for Beginners and Beyond is also on there. So you guys are familiar with what Healy for Beginners and Beyond is? That's an unboxing. That's a full-on brand new person, step-by-step walkthrough. And there's not a lot of episodes there, but each one has the unboxing in the beginning, like the first half hour, and then something unique the last half hour, including like how to use the HealAdvisor search, or things about the blue dot, things about the pink dot, unique. So definitely that's another part of the Healy School. It's only an hour. It's a video, and the entire video is hyperlinked. So the content, there's a word underneath there, words about the content, and it'll hyperlink. You can click on, you can go right to that content in the video that you want to look at. And you can also right click on that link or on that hyperlink and share it. So obviously you guys, some of you guys are team leaders, right? You've got Healy teams out there and you want to empower them. So there you go. Start making a little resource page that has keywords such as master key. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how important it is to collect all the content and all the knowledge on master key, okay, for yourself. So build yourself a file called master key and then diligently allocate a glossary of information for you. Information leads to transformation, always, always, always. And what's the transformation? Feeling empowered. All right.
Okay, you have 4 Healy apps behind you. So we do have 4 different apps, right? Yay. Somebody wants you to elaborate, how is it achieved that you can actually turn off notifications in each one of those apps? So there's a setting function in each of the apps. There's updates. So we kind of have 2 questions on that in terms of, what do we get in these apps? What are we checking in the settings? How are we notifying ourselves? That's part 1 on that. Jim wanted to know.
I love it. So Jim, he plays this game about being an old timer and, you know, all that kind of stuff. He's not, he's sharp as a tack, but sometimes we want to go through it again. I get it. So if you're not sure again, well, how the heck do I do something on my smart device? Right? Because here's the apps. You saw it, like Beth said, behind me. These are the 4 apps. We've got the blue dot. Behind me, there's the pink dot. Over here on the other side, we've got the HealAdvisor app, right? You see that? And then off my shoulder, get out of the way, is the Healy watch. All right. So these are the 4 apps that are available, and soon to come, everybody, drum roll, the Mag Healy app. It's going to have its own app. So it's coming. Anyway, these apps do different things. They still function on your smart device, and still the requirement of the smart device is privacy. And that is how you can turn off notifications. So in your smart device, there's a menu in settings that's called notifications. It's just called notifications. It has all of the apps that's on your smart device listed there. And you can go app by app by app and turn on or off notifications. App by app by app. And when you do it on the smart device, it kind of, what I would like to say, hard closes those notifications, right? So no matter, even if the app is trying to send you some content, the smart device will say, okay. So that's one thing. Oh, and by the way, if you put in the notifications, like say in your texts, you know, your text app is also in that notification window, in that menu. Because remember, the text function on your smart device is also an app. The Bluetooth function on your smart device is also an app. The camera function on your smart device is also an app. All of them are apps, and they all have a ability to customize the notifications. And that's under that settings menu, under the tab called notifications. You can go in there and adjust that. So when you make those adjustments, like for instance, in your text app, when you turn notifications off, and, you know, 2 days, 3 days down the road, you're going, man, I'm not getting any text from anybody. What's going on? It's because you turn the notifications off. You won't know. You're not going to get a little bleep. You're not going to get a little anything. It's just going to not have any notification. So keep in mind. And here's what the other people get. When people send you a text, they're going to get, Jim has notifications off on their side. It's going to say that to them. And Jim, and you know, Jim's like, yeah, I don't want nobody to call me anyway. But the point is like, they're going to get a message saying you have notifications off, and they won't be able to reach you in that regard. You can also, the same thing is true with phone calls. With the phone part, you turn notifications off, your phone won't ring. Yeah. Wonder why your phone's not ringing? It's not because you're not popular. Everybody loves you. They just can't get a hold of you because you have everything turned off. You're like, it goes to your voicemail, and your voicemail says, hey, if you're getting my voicemail, I'm making some changes in my life. And if I don't answer, you're one of the changes. Whoops. I didn't say that. All right.
Yeah, there's so many cool things in the settings on each one of the apps. They're a little different, but there's manuals and like it's really cool to just explore. Like you said, going to Healy school and just get to know the inner workings of each one of the apps and all the functionalities because there's so many different things we can do. And speaking of, we have a question about in the blue dot, the difference between sync and full sync. Is a regular sync just doing the lists? What's the difference? Why do we want the full sync? How does that all work?
Yeah. So just the sync part sends the content from the app on your smart device in the present time to the cloud. Full sync sends the content from your smart device to the present time to the cloud and retrieves the cloud down to your smart device. It's a two-way function. You see that? So, let's paint a scenario for a second. Let's say that you've been utilizing your blue dot on smartphone A. All right. And got all kinds of clients, all kinds of scans, all kinds of lists on smart device A. And that device battery dies or something. And so you pull out smart device B. So you got smart device A and smart device B. You pull out smart device B, you sync up to the same hardware, the same account, the same blue dot, and you start doing clients and scans. All of the content that you created, scans and clients on smart device A will not be on smart device B just because you logged in. It won't be there. Why? Because smart device A wasn't synced to the cloud and smart device B wasn't full synced. In other words, it pulled content down from the cloud. So, but you can do that. You can sync the two, or you can keep them separate and understand how that works. If you just never do a full sync, you'll never take content from the cloud and bring it to your smart device. So, but if you do a sync, you'll send content from your smart device to the cloud. All right. So that's the difference. Hopefully that makes sense. And if it doesn't, ask me for more definition and we'll have another robust conversation. What else?
Yeah, we're kind of caught up. We need some
Yeah. Okay.
throw some questions here. We had I had a direct message. Somebody was asking about just some information about names and who is being addressed when they send support tickets. So we sent that off to tech support. Could be something in the account, in the profile section of like whose name is on it or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and I know hopefully that's some stuff's getting solved in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So let me, I like it when there's kind of, we call it dead air space, right? Where we can unpack a philosophy or an idea. And one of the philosophies or ideas is how Healy, the hardware itself, interfaces with the human body. Anybody want to know about that? Some of the fun ways it interfaces with the human body, of course, is number one through microcurrent. And what's microcurrent doing? When you connect the wires to the wrist bracelets or the sticky pads anywhere on your body, the microcurrent is going through the body, and it is the microcurrent is a charging system. It's literally like if you ever have a battery that you've ever charged, you plug in your Healy, it's charging the battery. You plug in a smart device, charging a battery. You put jumper cables on your car, charging a battery. So we are a battery as well. The body itself, the cell membrane potential is enormous. You can take this energy within this body of ours, this human body, and power cities, right? I mean, in terms of its potential. So when you are putting microcurrent through the body, it's charging cells, but it's not just charging all cells. It's targeting very specific systems, organs, or cell structures based on the frequency that's being presented. In other words, the pulsations of this microcurrent changes based on the frequency that Healy is transmitting. And now we're addressing very specific conditions from emotion, cellular, spiritual, right, and electrical, we're addressing these very, very specific conditions within the body. And I just find that super fascinating because we can hone in on just a grouping of cells that come together to create an organ, right? That's pretty cool. So that's the microcurrent. And it doesn't matter if you have it at 5% intensity or 100% intensity. As long as that signal is white on your signal indicator, your conductive indicator, black or white or gray, by the way, as long as it's white, then you're getting the microcurrent properly through the body. Just saying that, yes, it's conductive. Now, let me tell you, the gray indicator means that program's just not analyzing the need for that measurement. It means that you're going to get it irregardless. You're going to get the benefits of the frequencies. So that's how it's working. And what it's literally doing is it's increasing ATP production by up to 500%. That's the energy in the cell. That's, like I said, charging the batteries. It's increasing protein synthesis by 70%. That's the way that the cell is, the genetic codes are interfacing with the cell, and the proteins are the action of the cell. Every action within the body is done with a protein, right? And then it's increasing amino acid transport by 40% or up to 40%. All of this stuff is happening from the microcurrent. And this is not new. This is not new at all. This is technology that's from the 1920s. That's been discoveries from a long time. And proven science. You can find study after study after study about microcurrent. And Healy uses microcurrent because it's a proven science. What's different is what Healy piggybacks on that microcurrent, which is the frequency. Now we're getting specific to the body, to organ systems and cells itself. We're also getting a feedback system. We're now establishing resonance of the body, so we can kind of handshake. Well, I like to call it ask permission of the body. And then the system, once it gets permission, starts to build a coherent signal. And let me tell you something. It is important to understand that resonance is everything. And you know it. When you walk up to somebody, you meet them the very first time, and you get that warm and fuzzy, friendly feeling, that's a coherent signal. That's resonance. But if you get that jittery and tingly on the back of your neck and the spidey senses go off, again, that's resonance, but it's incoherence. Different. Run. I mean, in one case, guide your energy. In the other case, embrace it. But that's pretty cool, right? That's the resonance of the body. And these are coherence is, and write this down. The definition of coherence is integration and differentiation. That's coherence. It's like a flexible tree that's flexible enough to bend in the wind, but rigid enough to grow tall and straight, right? So it's integration, how we're integrating the frequencies in our body, but differentiation, which is the Healy looking at your coherence or your resonance and finding signaling to bring that up into balance. That's the differentiation. It's an analysis. I mean, this stuff just lights me up. I just love this kind of stuff, right? Okay. Do we have any questions since I went all long time?
That brought up actually 3 exciting piggyback questions on maybe some opportunity to recap here, but talking about the output and how we use that. So question 1 was, how do we know where to start with the percentage? What kind of guidelines do we have on that in determining the output that we choose?
Let's unpack that one for a minute. Oh, sorry about that. Got some noise in the background here. So the, hang on one second here. Okay. So the important part about intensity, that percentage, the plus and minus at the bottom of the screen, from 0% to 100%, that's in the pink dot. Okay. That percentage is basically allowing us to establish our own comfort zone. You could just pump it up to 100% and feel the jolting and vibration. It's not going to be bad. I mean, it's not that bad, but you can feel it really intensely in the body. It's not like I've had it. It had an influence on my muscle control. I was running a jobs program one time, and it was jobs systemic and something, I can't remember exactly which program, but I'm just sitting there having a conversation, and my left hand, the two fingers, the pointer and the thumb came together and they started twitching. Right. And I'm left-handed. So I'm thinking, that's how I write. And I'm thinking, am I going to write a book? Am I going to, you know what I mean? It's just that the body starts doing these things, but it's not necessary for you to feel it. In fact, when you're really looking at the sweet spot is you take the current flow, that intensity, start the program, increase the intensity to where you can just feel it. Now, pay close attention to the frequency being transmitted in the moment. The lower the frequency, say below 500 Hertz, it's going to require a higher amplitude of signal to get through the body, because the lower the frequency, the closer to density. In other words, the density of the body. And it takes a little bit more punch to get through. So you'll find you need to raise it up in order to get through. Use those lower frequencies as your measuring stick, because if you can't feel them, if you set it to where you raise it up till you can feel it and then stop, back it down one click, the higher frequencies you won't feel anyway, because they're more of what we call the wave as opposed to the particle. So that's how you adjust that. It's your own indications. All right. Part two to that. Is there part two to that one?
Well, that explains too. A lot of people sometimes say they can't even feel anything when it's up to 100%. So like you said, what programs are you running? Are they at very, very high frequencies? But there's also some other things that you could check to test your conductivity. If you're, not getting a white tracing line, or if you can't feel something at 100% hydration, right? Some different things to spot check on that.
Yeah, for sure. Here's another thing to consider as we start to use our Healy. The body is an adaptive entity. 97% of your genetic code is adaptive, reading the environment to make sure that the cell structures are fitting the environment to survive. This is pretty key when it comes to epigenetics, because if we're looking at trying to solve disorder, and we continuously are orbiting within an environment that is disorderly, the body's going to keep trying to become a alignment with the disordered energy. It has to survive. So think about that, folks. If you're in a space of, just say feeling small or inadequate or suppressed or controlled, any of that, it's going to have an effect on your biology. That's epigenetics. You can't stop it. I mean, it's part of the body's desire to adapt to its environment so it can survive. Now, there's some hacks to that, but we won't go into that. But just know it's a much simpler process to design an environment that's holistic and synergistic to your healing or to you and empowerment than to try to survive within one that's not. So building models around around these programs. What are we using, and how they are supporting our bodies? I guess that's the key. What other details do we need to know about that, Beth?
That question was just, you can't feel any microcurrent at all, even when it's up to 100%.
And your body's adaptive. So if you keep doing 100%, eventually it's going to tolerate 100%. If the line is white, then the current is right. It's just, it's not necessary to feel it.
Catchy, good rhyme there. When the line is white, program's right.
Energy's right.
Another comment was somebody said that they had been running programs 2 to 3 times a day at 80%, and then kind of experienced a different presentation in their body. They said it was some nerve pain. Could that be Healy related?
Repeat that one. Where was that?
They've been using Healy 2 to 3 times a day at 80%, different programs, it sounds like, and then have a new presentation of something within the body is it tied in together?
So this is a great understanding to see, you know, when we are working on solving, aligning, and becoming coherent in one disorder, whatever it is, then when you release a boundary for the body, you're going to turn on certain neurological processes, sensitivities, detoxes. You're going to turn things on, and then there's a new alignment to be made. So just pay attention. It's good you're paying attention to your body. Fabulous. Write this stuff down. Keep a journal. Keep track. And then I always recommend that we take a day off. Take a day off, because, you know, it's time to repair and rest. I don't know how many people use their Healy every day, multiple times a day, right? I mean, then find what we call a time in which you can create what's called hedonic calendaring. Hedonic calendaring. That's when we will take all of the things that we do and shut them off. I mean, you know, even some of the meditation practice, give the body an opportunity to feel differently. And two things happen, which I love. One, I mean, it's contrast. All of a sudden you see what's been helping. All of a sudden, like, well, you know, not feeling much different here. And then two, it's like, holy crap, I feel in total disorder. I need to implement certain things. You can implement things back in. The hedonic calendaring is about taking out all of the regimented practices that we do, and then introducing a few back in at a time and finding new balance and getting a new alignment, because we accumulate processes. And all of a sudden we're doing this regiment every day that has to do with meditation and diet and exercise and Healy and chanting and breath work and, you know, and. And I'm not saying they're not beneficial, but how do you know their priority, which is most beneficial? And when you make some changes, your body is going to realign. Like I said, it's an adaptive engine. You cut things out, it's going to adapt to a new thing. You put things back in, it's going to give you a new opportunity for a new high or new level. Right? This is called in fitness. It's a lot of contrast workouts, right? Muscle confusion. That makes you a better body. This is why I live in a state where there's 4 seasons, so that I can get really blasted. You know, if you live in a place where you're hot or it's warm all the time, then there's no contrast, right? All right. What else?
I love your reminder too. You always tell us about our self-care protocol, you know, after the programs, because we have to feed that in with using our Healy, but the hydration, our grounding, getting the body moving, even if you're just sitting there, and, you know, getting lymph moving again. And then my favorite, falling in love with life. But those all tie into each and every program that we run. A lot of comments here about people's, you know, personal experiences, how they're using and what they notice too. Yeah.
Yep. And breath work. So when we take a deep breath, so everybody just do this real quick with me. Just reach up and find your collarbones. Find those collarbones. All right, great. Now be careful. This is kind of ticklish. Reach down and find your lower rib, the very bottom rib. Right. Find that lowest rib. That is the size of your lung. So there's 2 of them in there. That's the size of your lungs. Are you breathing from the collarbone to the lower rib? Are you really taking a full-on breath, or is it mostly what you do in your day, shallow and short breaths? That full breath, because the oxygen content in our blood is important. And it's the full breath, each one, that does 2 things. Full breaths are going to oxygenate the blood. 2, it's also going to set the HRV, or well, actually vagal tone, which is relative to the HRV, which is our direct influence over the sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system. So you can hack your stress level by just breathing. So another great, big, huge, important tool when we're working with our Healys, because some of the programs, are doing a detox function, and it needs oxygen in the blood. There's a question here too I want to bring up. Can you demonstrate again how to put the Healy into demo mode? So there is a video for that. But I mean, simply in the Blue Dot app, you will go to the gear at the bottom of the screen on the right, that little gear, click on gear, click on cloud settings, and click on log out. Once you log out and you go, the screen will change and there'll be a demo mode at the bottom of the screen, right? Yeah, and you have a choice of either going to demo. I mean, you go to log back in, and there'll be a demo mode option there for you. There is a video. Let me think. Is that on the YouTube page? I can't remember for sure if it's on the YouTube page, but take a look. You can go to that YouTube page, or here's another thing. Go to YouTube and search for Healy demo mode. I know I did a video, and I'm pretty sure it'll come up. I mean, so take a look at that. And it's just a short one. I believe it's maybe, I don't know, 8 minutes, something like that. All right. And don't go to Google and do it, because, you know, the search engines in Google are relative to the number of searches to the subject. So go to YouTube and search it. That's a better spot. Izzy says, a shout out to Brent customer service for sending me a new button for my animal kit. You kudos. Thanks, Brent. Love all that.
Somebody asked about talking about the output percentages and how that relates to using the coil. I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah. Okay, so I talked about one modality of putting the frequencies into the body, which is the microcurrent. Another modality is the coil. So the same wires that same spot in which the wires plug in on your Healy. At the bottom of your Healy, there's a couple spots for the wires to plug in, right? And those wires are where the microcurrent goes out of the device. And there's a plus and minus on the front of your Healy, which kind of gives you an indication of what's called electron flow. Electrons flow from minus to plus. It's the way it circulates. So the same ports are where the coil actually connects those. There's a couple of pins on the coil that connect in those same spots where the wires would normally be, and converts that current flow that would go down the wires normally through, and it diverts it through a coil, actually 2 coils, and they're laying 180 degrees off from each other. So now the current flow is going through these coils. And anytime when I say coils, that's just wire conductors. They are shaped in a coil form. Anytime that you have electron flow down a conductor of copper wire, or conductor of anything that conducts electricity, anytime you have electron flow, it has an associated emission of magnetic energy. So that's how it's creating a magnetic field when it runs that current flow down around and round and round that coil. It's creating a magnetic field, and there's 2 fields, and they go out to the front and they go to the back. They're 180 degrees off each other. And what's in the middle, when you have your Healy on your body, is you, right? So you have it on your body. The magnetic energy is going forward. Magnetic energy is going backward. I'm in the middle. So those 2 fields create what's called a zero vector field in the middle, a zero vector field. So in other words, there's nothing. It's a space of autonomy to that present moment, to that environment. There's nothing there. And then Healy drops the frequencies right there. Well, what's in the middle? Me. So I get all that abundance of those frequencies, and it's holding out all of the things that are not serving me. So, so that's what the coil is doing. And the higher the amplitude, the stronger the magnetic field, right? And the bigger it radiates. Now, honestly, that field radiates omnidirectionally, infinitely, forever, throughout the entire universe. It's just that the amplitude drops the further away it gets, but there's some form of it in the farthest reaches of our galaxy. So I think it's pretty cool, because now when we get 100 million Healys in action, guess what we're all getting as a collective? Ha. Yes, abundant frequencies, good ones, not bad ones, good ones. All right. So the only thing that I don't like, it's not really a side effect, but when you are running the coil at higher amplitude, so you're running it at say 100%, then what happens is that the battery is going to drain a little faster. That's it. Battery's going to drain a little faster. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yep. So Beth put HealyAmericas.com on for the YouTube page there. I saw that back there.
So this is
What else?
cool. Somebody says, is it common to have frequencies show up in the millions? Like, what's our range? Healy has such a huge range. And that's one thing that makes it so unique. And I love that we go from, what is it, 0.01 up into the millions.
Yeah. So it's 0.1 hertz up to 1,000,000 hertz. But honestly, there's been introduction now. It's gone up to, and now we have frequencies in the 2.1 million hertz, something like that. So in terms of frequencies, it's there's benefits all over the place, and I'm just, the combinations, what's being done. I mean, I love Nuno Nina's research. I call him the frequency whisperer. If there is a clair, in other words, our intuition, there's the clairvoyance where we can see things, clairaudience, which people who can hear things, claircognizance, where we just kind of know things. He's kind of the clair frequency guy, and he just gets it. And he's been working with, thousands and thousands of clients, and he's got a multitude of practitioners, and the evidence that's collected is what's being used to define these programs. You really don't necessarily need 2 million frequencies, right? It's just that when you combine them properly, there's infinite ways of combining them. And so it's just it's always a case study. We just get better and better. The longer that Healy is out, the more people that are using it, the more consciousness we're going to shift. And guess what? We're going to hit that 3-minute mile. Remember the 4-minute mile? Remember that? What happened? One person did it, and then all of a sudden, boom, now it's commonplace. But what's not common yet is the 3-minute mile. And I think that we really need to look into the next consciousness level. Get rid of the old principles that no longer serve us. Newtonian principle of cause and effect is outdated. We've made it obsolete in our brilliance. Now quantum physics with causing an effect is now our new rule. So let's go for it. How about that? Anything else?
Maybe one more as we come to the top of the hour here. Question about using EMF protection tools, or like a case or necklace. Now you've got yours on that you have.
Yeah. So EMF, remember EMF, it stands for electromagnetic force. It has gotten a bad rap. The coil is, or they call it electromagnetic frequency, electromagnetic force. Originally, the very first, all transmissions, whatever the frequencies are, all frequencies that are transmitting out into the universe are EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies or force, because it's converting a current flow into a magnetic signal. The magnetic signal is propagating out into its environment and then recollecting on another antenna or conductor. And we as the bodies are conductors. I want you guys to rest assured that the genetic code that each one of us possesses is infinitely intelligent. Infinitely intelligent. I'm an epigenetic coach. I understand epigenetics. I'm an epigeneer. And that our ability for the body to adapt is infinite. The reason that we tend to get in disorder and disease is because of stress. We keep the body out of rest and digest, and we keep it in the stress response, and essential systems just go offline. I mean, it's a simple equation. So if we want to propagate a good signal, upregulate the genetic code, we got to make sure we're in the parasympathetic system, not the sympathetic. So EMF will speak to the genetic codes and increase its production or propagation to fit the environment. It's information. So does Healy work on GardenNet? Yeah. There is in the general protection page, there's a one that's for protection, right? Around that kind of thing. So Healy's sending out EMF, by the way, electromagnetic force. When you run current flow down those wires into your body, off of those wires, we would be able to, because we have electron flow down the wire, we could measure magnetic energy emissions. That would be EMF, but of a frequency that is supportive to you. Some EMF is supportive, but the ones that are not supportive, the body's building a genetic code to either be limited by it or defend against it. And that's based on your mindset and your stress level. Okay. All right, guys, we are at the top of the hour. My grandfather clock just gave me a bunch of tones saying it's time. So thank you all very much for being here. I had a good time. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Hopefully you guys found some answers and something that's useful. All of your questions that go into the chat wind up being used and utilized for analysis to assist through the customer service. And we have customer service here live. So you guys are getting a double whammy. And thank you, Beth, for being such an amazing and beautiful co-host. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna, don't tell anybody, but you got something
Thank you.
way better than from Jake, but hey, thank you for being here. Don't tell anybody that. All right, guys, big loves.
Thank
See you
you,
later.
Ken. Thank you very much.